Now, for some times we have been looking at some past questions on approximation, quadratic equations, and logical reasoning. Okay, today we are going to look at another set of questions. I've penciled down some important questions that I think will be relevant for external exam and external internal as well. All right, so I want you to get yourself ready for today's class. Kindly invite your friends, your classmates, let them know the class is about starting. And don't forget, if you are new in this channel, ensure that you subscribe to this channel and don't forget to tap the like button. Okay, so let us all get ready for the class now. Okay, so now today we are going to be starting with quadratic equation. So specifically, we'll be looking at quadratic expressions. Okay, so we are going to look at questions under factorization of quadratic expressions. Okay, I've done similar questions in my previous videos. Okay, so you can always check out for the topic. Okay, all right, now so today I have some questions now. I have some questions here. So let us look at the following questions under quadratic equation. So I'm starting with that. Example 1. Factorize the following. Okay, yes. I want to believe we have a good number of you on the platform. Yes, and don't forget to invite your friends. Let them know the class have started. Okay, so you are welcome to class. All right, so once you are joining the class, ensure you tap the like button and type in the comment section, I'm ready for the class. Okay, so now let's do that. So just like I brightly said, we are going to be looking at different topics. We are going to be looking at questions in quadratic equations and also approximations. We are going to be looking at questions under logical reasoning. Okay. All right. So now let us look at the first set of questions. This is under quadratic equation. Okay. So we have to factorize the following quadratic expressions. Okay. So now the first one, we have 4n squared minus 12n plus 5. So how do we solve this problem? The first thing we need to identify is the sum and product. Now, why are we looking for sum and product? Because there's a need for us to divide this middle term into two parts, 12 minus 12n. We need to divide it into two parts. So there are several ways of dividing this 12n minus 12n. Okay, so now to get the right one that is going to work for this, now we need to identify the sum and product. So how do we get the sum and product? So I think I've explained it in the last class. So if you know, I want you to drop the sum and product in the comment section. Let's see those of us that already have the idea of this. Now, this is a quadratic expression. So now identify the sum and product of this quadratic expression. So If you have it, if you know it, drop it in the comment section. Now, I'm doing it now. Now, to get the sum of this quadratic expression is the coefficient of n, the variable with the power of 1. All right, so you can see a variable with power of 2. So you just go straight to the one with power of 1. Okay, so the number beside the variable is what we call the sum. So the sum for this quadratic expression is negative 12. So we have negative 12. Okay, so now the product is the multiplication of the coefficient of n squared and 5 here. Okay, so now you use 4 to multiply 5. So you have 20. So product is 20. Okay, is it the same thing with what we have there? All right, okay, so you can compare. Now, what do we need to do next? You look for two numbers such that when you multiply the two numbers together, you have 20. And when you add the two numbers together, you have negative 12. Okay, so I want you to tell me those two numbers. You can do that within few seconds. Let's see. What are those two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have 20. And when you add together, you have negative 12. All right, so if I want to begin to think of the numbers, I have to begin to think of factors of 20. So we have plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10, and plus or minus 20. All of these are factors of 20. So you have to find a way of combining, two numbers among the listed numbers and see which one with the addition gives negative 12 and the multiplication gives 20. So if you know the answer, I want you to drop that in the comment section. All right, so now let's look at it now. So the two numbers will be negative 2 and negative 10. Now you see, when you multiply these two numbers together, you have plus 20. And when you add the two together, you have negative 12. Okay, so now this quadratic expression turns to 4n squared. Okay, so don't forget I said we want to divide negative 12n. So now this negative 12n is the same thing as negative 2n, negative 10n. You see, when you add these two together, it gives you negative 12n. Okay, so plus 5. Now, so what is the next thing? Now look at the first pair here. You look for the GCD, the greatest common divisor. Okay, so what's going to be the GCD of this? Okay, so that's going to be 2n. 2n can go here, 2n can go here. So let's factor that out. 2n. So when you divide this by 2n, 4n squared divided by 2n, that gives you what? 2n. Okay, so now when you divide negative 2n by 2n, you have negative 1. Now let's look at this. What is the GCD? That is 5. So you have, that's negative 5. Okay, negative 5. All right, so when you divide this by negative 5, what do you have? You have 2n. Okay, divide this by negative 5, you have negative 1. All right, so now you can factor out what we have in the bracket here. It's common to these two terms. So we have 2n minus 1. Now you are left with 2n and negative 5. So we have 2n minus 5. So, and this is the answer to the first question. All right. Okay, so now let's look at the second one. We have 3x squared y squared minus 30xy minus 75y squared. Okay, so look at this. Now, before I solve this, I have to inspect this. Inspect. Now, let me try and see if I can factor out something. All right, let me see what can I factor, what is common to this. Now, I can factor out 3. 3 is common to this, it's common to this, and it's also common to this as well. Okay, So can we factor out that? All right, so let me factor out 3. So when you factor out 3, you have 3 open bracket x square y square minus 30xy, okay, minus 775. Okay, so so when you factor out 3 here, so this one will be what? This will be 10. Okay, don't forget you divide this one by 3. So you divide this by 3, that gives you what? That gives you 25. Okay, so we have y squared. Okay, can you see that? All right, so we can do that. Okay, so now looking at this, we can now go ahead and factor what we have inside. So you can factor that out. But then if you look at it now, we can still factor out y. If you care to do that, okay, that may make the work easier. So let's try and factor that out. So we divide this by y, and this one by y. So when you do that, so that means here we'll be having what? 3y. So once you divide this by y, so you have ordinary y. So what we have here is going to be x. Okay, and this one is going to be what? Y. So this is what we're going to be having. Okay, so now we can go ahead and factorize this. So how do we factorize this? We identify the sum and the product. Identify the sum and product. Now what is going to be the sum and what is going to be the product? Okay, so what is the sum and what is the product? Okay, so I want you to look at that. Tell me what is the sum and what is the product of this expression we have inside the bracket. Okay, drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see those of us that have that can get the answer to that. So what is the sum and what is the product? Yes, sum and product. Okay, okay, so what is going to be the product? All right, okay, I can see. Yes, Ọlọ́run fún mi -10 and -25. Okay, all right, so another person. All right, okay, I can see Balogun. Yeah, -25. What is -25? So you need to specify. Okay, product, Balogun, okay, Remilekun. Okay, product is -10. Yes, Olorun Fumi, I can see your answer. Okay, show me the, yes, sum is -10. So what is product? Yes. Okay. Okay, Joseph Pamela, okay, product is 25. So what is sum? Riscott. Okay, Riscott, -10 is product or sum. Okay, sum is -10, product is -25. Okay, okay. All right, yes, we are all doing fine. We are doing fine. Okay, so let's look at it together. So it shows that we are all in class. Okay, now the sum is the coefficient of x here, so that is -10. Okay, and what is going to be the product? The product is the coefficient here times this. That's going to be -20, 25. Okay, so now let us see how do we solve this problem. Okay, so let's do it here. Okay, so now we have 3y. So what we have here, so now this is going to be x squared y. Okay, now before we do that, because we have to divide this. So the two numbers, what is going to be the two numbers? Such that when you multiply together, you have this, and the addition will give you this. Don't forget I said the two numbers should be factors of the products. So what will those two numbers be? Okay, let's look at it. What is it going to be? Okay, so if you know the answer, I want you to drop that in the comment section. Okay. Okay. So what are the two numbers such that when you add together you have negative 10, and when you multiply together you have that. So what are the two numbers? Okay, so now we begin to think of now factors of 25. I think the factors are, we have 5 and 5, and we also have so that we have negative 5 and negative 5, and also we can have 1 and negative 10. Okay, so or we have negative 1 and negative 10. Okay, so these are possible factors. So because when you multiply this and this together, you can have 20. In fact, one of them will be, okay, it's either you have it this way. Okay, so if I must have negative numbers, so one must be negative. So negative 5 times 5, so we have negative that. So we also have the same thing here. So or we have 1 and negative 10, and 1 and negative 1 and 10. So see that this, when you multiply this together, is it going to give us this? No, it's not going to give us that. So see that we use what do we, okay, it's not going to work there. So that's, so I think the two numbers now is going to be this. So you can see now in this case now, this quadratic expression is not factorizable. It's not factorizable. Why? Because you cannot get two numbers such that when you add together, you're going to have negative 10, and when you multiply together, you have negative 25. You don't, such number does not exist. So in this case, we write that x squared y minus 10x minus 25y. Okay, is going to be the solution, because the only thing I can do is just to factor out this 3y out of this. So you can't go beyond this. So since this one is not factorizable, what we have inside here is not factorizable, because we can't get two numbers such that when you add together we have 10, and when you multiply together you have 25. I hope you understand that. Okay, so there's certain questions that comes in this format, okay, where you'll not be able to factorize. So we have other methods we can always use for that, but then since we are only factorizing, so we can't go beyond this. So that is the solution to that problem. So let's move to the next one. All right, so the last one on the list here, we have 6h cubed plus 15h squared plus 9h. Okay, so how do we do this? All right, now the first thing is to look at this. This is a cubic equation, not quadratic equation, because the maximum power of the unknown here is 3. So now let's look at it carefully and see how we can handle this. Now all you just need to do is look for the GCD of this expression. Now the GCD now is going to be 3h. Okay, 3h can go here, 3h can go here, 3h can go here. So we factor that out. So we have 3h, which is the GCD. So when you divide this by 3h, what do you have? You have 2h squared. Okay, divide this by 3h, you have plus 5h. Okay, so when you divide this one by 3h, what do you have? You have plus 3. So that's what you have. Okay, so now the next thing is to factorize what we have inside. So I hope this one is going to be factorizable, what we have inside here. Okay, so now we have the sum and products. Okay, can you tell me what's going to be the sum, what's going to be the product? So you drop your answer in the comment section. So let's see what you have. Now, what's going to be the sum? Sum is what? coefficient of h, that is what? Plus 5. And what's going to be the product? Okay, can you tell me what's going to be the product? Drop your answer in the comment section. All right, so that is what? 6. That's 3 times 2 or 2 times 3. Okay, so now we need two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have this. And when you add together, you have plus 5. So this one is very simple. Okay, so I want to see what you have for that. Two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have 6. And when you add together, you have plus 5. Okay, so let me see what you have for that. Drop your answer in the comment section. What are those two numbers? What are the two numbers? What are the two numbers? Okay. All right. Okay, I can see Balogun is the first person to drop the answer. We have 2 and 3. Yes, 2 and 3. Progress. Progress, you're welcome to class. Okay. I know. All right. So you have to follow the class. Okay. You have to follow the class. Follow the class. I know you get what you are explaining. Okay. Who else? Okay. The two numbers 2 and 3. Yes. Okay. Ọlọ́run fún mi, I can see number 2 and 3. Okay. Yes. Olatunbosun 2 and 3. And Raji 2 and 3. Okay. All right. I can see another one 6 and -1. Okay. That is Ọlọ́run fún mi. Yes. Toyosi plus 5 and plus 6. Yeah. Okay. Are you sure? All right. Okay. Pamilerin. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so now let's confirm. So good number of us are doing very, very fine. All right, so we need two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have 6. And when you add together, you have 5. We already have it here. So all you just need to begin to think of is factors of 6. Factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and the 6 itself. Okay, so let's look at how do we combine. So now you already have this and this. Look at it now, 2 and 3. So it's pretty simple. So when you add these two numbers together, you have 5. When you multiply together, you have 6. So you already have it in the question. Okay, so now, so this expression now turns to 3h. We have 2h squared plus 3h plus 2h plus 3. Okay, so you can see when you add these two together, you have plus 5h. All right, so now we have 3h. Now, let's look at this first pair in the bracket here. So what is the GCD of this pair? That is h. All right, so now let's factor that h out. So we divide this by h. Divide 2h squared by h. What do you have? You have 2h. You get that now? So h will only cancel h squared here. So that's what you have. So now divide this 3h by h. So h will cancel this. You have plus 3. Okay. So now let's look at the next one. So what is the GCD here? It's just 1. Okay. So we have plus 1. So when you divide this by 1, you have 2h plus 3. Okay. So that's what we have. So now inside the bracket, the big bracket, you can factorize this. So we have 3h. Now when you factorize, you bring this out, so you have 2h plus 3. And you are left with what? H plus 1. So, and that is going to be the answer to that. Okay. So I want to believe you guys understand this. All right. So that's the first part of the question. So now I'm going to be giving you another question on the approximation. So now before we go into that, if you are new in this channel and you have not subscribed to this channel, please ensure you do that. All right. And don't forget to tap the like button. Thank you. Always remember to go through my previous video and make sure you make a comment and you like the video. All right. And don't forget to always share this video with your friends. Thank you very much. Now let's look at the next question. So this one is under approximation, past questions. So let's start with this one. A rectangle is 10 centimeter by 5 centimeter in dimension. A student measures it as 9 centimeter by 4 centimeter and uses the measurements to calculate the perimeter find the Okay, now this is the next question. This question is under approximation. Okay, so let's look at the question. Now, a rectangle is 10 centimeter by 5 centimeter in dimension. A student measures it as 9 centimeter by 4 centimeter and uses the measurements to calculate the perimeter of the rectangle. Now, you have to find the percentage error in the length, the breadth, and the perimeter. Okay, so now the first thing is to calculate the error in length, since we want to get the percentage error in length. So we write error in length. So what is error in length? That is the estimated minus the actual measurement. The estimated is 9, actual measurement is 10. So we have 10 minus estimated is 9. So we have 9 minus 10. And that gives us what? Minus 1 centimeter. So that is error in length. So can we now get percentage error in length? So we have percentage error in length is going to be the error in length over the actual measurements of the length. What's the actual measurement? That's 10. So we have 10 times 100%. So, and that gives you now 10 cancel 10 here. We have negative 10%. And that's going to be the answer. Okay. All right. So now let's look at the second part of the question. So percentage error in breadth. So can you tell me what is going to be the error in breadth? Error in breadth. So what's going to be error in the breadth of the rectangle? So the actual measurement is 5. Estimated is 4. So what do? You subtract. You have 4 minus 5. And that is 1 centimeter, negative 1 centimeter. Now I told you in the last my last video that this negative 1 is immaterial. So we are just looking for the difference, okay, in or change in breadth. So can either be positive or negative. So the negative is immaterial. All right. So now in this case, we have percentage error to be what? The error in breadth over the actual breadth. What's the actual breadth? That's 5 times 100%. Okay, can you see that? All right. So now let's see. So we have 5 goes here 1, 5 goes here is 20. Okay, so that means that's going to be negative 20%. So that's going to be the percentage error in the breadth. So, okay, now let's look at the third part of the question. So you have to find the percentage error in perimeter. Percentage error in perimeter. Okay, so now let's see. Now, what is the actual perimeter of the rectangle? The actual perimeter of the rectangle, so we have perimeter of a rectangle is 2 open bracket L plus the breadth. Okay, so don't forget actual length is 10 and actual breadth is 5. Sorry, that's 5. So we now plug in this to get the actual perimeter. So actual perimeter equals 2 times 10 plus 5. And that's what? 2 times what? 15. And that gives you what? 30 centimeter. So this is the actual perimeter. So now let's get the estimated perimeter. So estimated perimeter now is going to be 2. Now we are making use of this formula. Now don't forget estimated perimeter, we have L equals to 9 and the breadth is 4. So now let's plug in this value into this equation. So we have 2 times 9 plus 4. Okay, so and that is going to give you 2 times 13. And that is what? 26 centimeter. Okay, so that's 26 centimeters. So this is the estimated perimeter. So what is the next thing? Now we find the error in perimeter. So error in perimeter now gives you the estimated as 26 minus 30. So what do we have now? That's going to give us what? That's 4. Negative 4 centimeter. So this is going to be the error. So we can calculate the percentage error in perimeter. Percentage error in perimeter. Can we do that? Percentage error in perimeter. Okay, so that is going to be the actual, okay, the error, sorry, error over the actual perimeter. What's the actual perimeter? That's 30. We have 30 okay, times 100%. Okay, so is 0 cancel 0? Okay, so you can use 10 to multiply this. You have negative 40 over 3. So, and that gives you what? So what's going to be the answer to that? So 3 goes in 4, that's 1. It remains 1. So, and 3 goes in 10 is what? 3. So 0.3%. So this is going to be the percentage error in perimeter. Percentage error in perimeter. So that is the answer to the problem. So I want to believe you guys understand what we have on the board. Okay, so if you enjoy the class, don't forget to give a thumb to the class. Make sure you tap the like button, and if you are new on this channel, ensure you subscribe to this channel. All right, so let us look at another question on the approximation. Another question on the approximations. Example 3. The stick is 20 centimeter long. The students Okay, so now let's look at this question. This question. Now, a stick is 20 centimeter long. A student makes a 5% error in measuring the stick. Now, find the two possible values for the student's measurements. So, how do we solve this problem? Now, the first thing is to get the actual or the estimated. Now look at it now. A stick is 20 centimeter long. So what is the meaning of this 20 centimeter? It's talking about the actual length of the stick. So we write that out. Actual length equals 20 centimeter. Okay. So now a student makes a 5% error. So that means percentage error made by the students is 5%. Okay, so you have to find two possible values for the student's measurement. So we want to know the estimated value, the two possible estimated value. Don't forget, in this case now, we need to get the error. So once you get the error can either be underestimate, or you either underestimate or you overestimate. All right, so now let us get the error. So let's start with the formula of our percentage error. So we have percentage error is error or absolute error over actual value times 100%. Okay, I hope you understand that. So that is the formula. So percentage error has been given to be 5%. So you plug in 5% equals to error. We don't know what error is. Actual value has been given to be what? 20. So let's plug in 20 times 100%. I want to believe every one of you can see that. So now you can divide both sides by 5%. So 5% goes here is 1. 5% goes here is going to give us 20. Okay, so now 20 divides 20. So that means error equals to what? 1. All right, so don't forget, this is the error made. So the error can either be overestimate, you can either overestimate or you underestimate. So the error made by the student. So that means error will be what? Plus or minus 1 and not just 1. So because we actually want to get the two possible values. So that means that, this is the actual measurement. So that means the students have either increased the length of the stick by 1 or have reduced the length of this stick by 1 when taking the measurement. And that is the meaning of this error. So now we now said, therefore, the two possible values are 20 plus 1, and that is 21 centimeter. And what? 20 minus 1. So you remove 1 from 20, and that is what? 19 centimeters. So these are the two possible values of the students. Okay, so this one is overestimated. Okay, why this one is underestimated? Okay, so you can say, so that is the answer to the problem. I want to believe you guys understand what we have here. So I'm going to give you another question under approximation before I now look at one question under logical reasoning. So I believe we can all see the board. Can we all see the board? Okay. All right. So now let's take this one. Okay. Okay, yes. Can we look at the next question? Yeah, we have to, the length of a tabletop is measured to be 400 meters. Find the percentage error if the length is measured to the nearest meters, the nearest 10 meters, the nearest one significant figure. So how do we solve this problem? The first thing is to identify the range of error that's going to be made here in this question. So now how do we get the error? Now look at it. We are given the actual measurement to be 400. Now you have to find the percentage error to the nearest meters. Now nearest meter in this case is to the nearest unit. Okay, and unit is always 1. All right, so now that means error will be half of the position value. Now position value of meters in this case, since it is to the nearest meters, that's going to be unit. Unit is 1, so to the nearest meter, so it's going to be 1/2. Okay, so we are going to add 1 half to both sides. We increase the left by negative, we reduce the left by negative half, and we increase the right by negative half. You get that now? So our error is going to be plus or minus 1/2. That is the same thing as plus or minus 0.5. Okay, you understand that? So that is how to get the error in this case to the nearest meters. So the percentage error is absolute error over actual value times 100%. So this is the formula we're going to be using. Absolute value means you disregard the sign. Okay, the negative, you disregard the negative. So that means we have 0.5 over actual value. This is the actual value of the tabletop. So that's 400, okay, times 100%. So when you look at it now, this we divide this. Okay, and now this is the same thing as 1/2 times 1/4, and that's 1/8. And that gives us what? 0.125. So that is what we have. Okay, so I want to believe we all understand this. Okay, so now let's look at the second question. So I want you to tell me what is going to be the error to the nearest 10 meters. To the nearest 10 meters. So what's going to be the error? Okay, so if you know the answer, I want you to drop that in the comment section. Yeah. Okay. All right. Balogun, I can see your answer. Yes. What is the error to the nearest 10 meters? To the nearest 10 meters. Okay. All right. I can see someone saying, okay, progress. You don't know how I got 0.125. Okay. All right. So to the nearest 10 meters, I can only see one person dropping the answer. So, okay. So let's do it together. I'm going to explain again. So now look at what we have here. So let me re-explain this. It's 0.5 divided by 4. So 0.5 is the same thing as half. Look at it. That's half divided by 4. Half divided by 4. So when you turn this, 4 is the same thing as 4/1. So when you turn this to multiplication, so we swap the numerator and denominator. So this becomes times 1/4. Okay, and that's the same thing as 1/8. Okay, so and when you divide 1/8 is the same thing as 0.125. Okay, you get that now? Okay, so that's how I got that. So now let's look at this. The error will be plus or minus 10/2, and that's going to be 5 meters. Now can you see? Now to the nearest 10, to the nearest 10. So position value 10 here is 10. Unit is 1. So 10 is 10. So you divide 10 by 2. Okay, so now you just have 10 divided by 2. You have plus or minus 5. So that's going to be the error. So let us now plug this into this formula. So we have percentage error to the nearest 10 meters now is going to be what? 5. The error is the error, absolute error over actual value, which is what? 400. We have 400 times 100%. Now this, we cancel this. So we have 5/4. So now 4 goes in 5, that is 1. Okay, it remains 1. So put 0 there. So 4 goes in 10, that is what? That is 2. It remains 2. Put 0 there. So 4 goes there. So that's 5. So that is what we have as the answer. So we have 1.25%. This is going to be the answer to the problem. Okay, so that is the percentage error to the nearest 10 meters. So now the last one here, now to the nearest one significant figure. Yes, can you tell me what is going to be the error? What's going to be the error? So if you know the answer, I want you to drop that in the comment section. So what is the error? What is the error to the nearest one significant figure? What's going to be the error? Yes. So drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see what you have. Okay. Yes. Okay, this got, okay, you have 1/2. Okay. So to the nearest one significant figure is 0.5. A Balogun, yes. Okay. Familiarly, that is 100/2. Okay. Another person. Okay. Along for me, yes, 5. Okay, Shotola Ajibola, that's 5. Okay, Riscots. Okay. Yes, others should drop the answer. Let's see what you have. What do you think about the question? To the nearest one significant figure. Let me have your thoughts about it. Just drop your answer. Let's see what you think the answer is supposed to be. And ensure you don't follow the crowd. Right? Okay. Adebayo Manuel. Okay, I can see your answer. Okay, progress. How far? What's your answer now? What's your answer? Okay, that's 5. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so now let's solve the problem together. Now look at it. The question says to the nearest one significant figure. Now you look at this actual value. One significant figure. What is the position value of one significant figure in 400, which is the actual measurement? One significant figure is here, is at 4. So the position value of this 4 in this number is what? Position value of 4 in 400 is what? That's 100. Position value of 4 is 100 in that. So to now get the error, so you have to divide it by 2. And that's going to be plus or minus 50 centimeters. So that is the error, plus or minus 50. Why is it 100? Because the position value of one significant figure is 100. Okay. So now let's get the percentage error. So percentage error is absolute error, that's 50 over actual value is 400 times 100%. Okay, so this cancel this, so we have 50 over 4, and that is 25 over 2%. That's what? 12.5%. So that's what we have as the answer. All right, so I want to believe you understand that. Good. All right, so we are moving to the last phase of today's class. All right, so if you are new in this channel and you have not subscribed, ensure you do that, and don't forget to tap the like button. Okay, thank you for doing that. Now let's look at this question on the logical reasoning. Okay, yeah. Now, so this is the next question. This question is under logical reasoning. So we have three statements here, statement A, B, and C. Now statement A is all boys are friendly, B is Nigerians are nice, and C is integers are whole numbers. All right, so now the question is, write the negation of statements B and C. And two, write statements A, B, and C using implication. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? The first thing is negation of B. Write negation of B. This is the symbol for negation. So negation of statement B. Now, Nigerians are nice. The negation, that is the opposite of it, is what? Nigerians are not nice. That's the opposite of it. It is false that Nigerians are nice. That is the negation. Okay, what of negation of C? So use the symbol for negation. Okay, so negation of statement C. Integers are whole numbers. Okay, so what's going to be the negation? Integers are not whole numbers. They are not whole numbers. Okay, so that is the first part of the question. Now let's look at the second part. Now the second part, write statements A, B, C using implication. All right, so let's look at the first statement. Statement A, all boys are friendly. All boys are friendly. I will start by saying X is a boy. Okay, so if X is a boy, what does it imply? If X is a boy, then X is what? Is nice. That's the implication. Okay, so look at it. All boys are, oh, sorry. So this is going to be friendly this time around, not nice. Okay, friendly. Now, because we have all boys are friendly. All boys are friendly. So X is a boy. So what does it imply? Then X is what? Friendly. That's the implication. All right, now let's look at the next one. If Y is a Nigerian, if Y is a Nigerian, so then Y is what? Is nice. Can you see the statement? The statement B says that Nigerians are nice. Nigerians are nice. So once I'm able to see one Nigerian, so it implies that that person, that one person is nice based on this statement. So we now say if Y is a Nigerian, so that implies that then Y is what? Nice. All right, now can we look at the last one? So the last one is just the same format. Same format. So if Z is an integer, if Z is an integer, so then what does it imply? Then Z is then Z is whole number. Then Z is whole number. So that is it. And that's all about the question. Okay, I want to believe you all get that. All right, so can we take one more? Let's take one more on the logical reasoning. Let's take one more. Example 6. Example 6. Let A be the statements prime numbers are divisible by 9, and B be the statement that even numbers are multiple of 2. 1. Find the truth value of A, negation of A implies A and B, A and negation of A by conditional P. Now this one is all. So now can we see the question now? Okay. Let A be the statements prime numbers are divisible by 10, and B be the statement even numbers are multiples of 2. Are multiples of 2. Okay, so you have to find the truth values of the following proposition A and B. Now, before we do that, the first thing is to get the truth value of A and B. So, yes, what is the validity of statement A and statement B? Is it true or false? So, what is the truth value of statement A? Is statement A valid? Is it true? What of B? Is it true or false? So I want you to drop that in the comment section. Let's see what is the answer to A and what is the answer to B. What is the truth value to statement A and statement B? So let's drop our answer in the comment section. Let's see what we have, because that's the most important thing in that question. We must first find the truth value of the given statements. All right, okay. Okay, A is false, B is true. Okay, I can see Balogun David. Okay. Okay, so yes, progress. Yeah, all right. Miracle. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, it seems everybody have almost the same answer. So let's see. That is good. Now, prime numbers are divisible by 9. That is false. It is false that prime numbers are divisible by 9. Okay. Now, the next one, even numbers are multiples of 2. That is correct. Even numbers are multiples of 2. So that is true. That's the truth value. Now, we have to find the truth value for this proposition. Now, the first one, we have negation of A implies A and B. Now, what do we do here? We plug in the truth value of A and B into this proposition. So we have negative false implies false and true. Okay, do we get that? What is negation of false? Negation of false is true. So opposite of false is true. So we have true implies. Now, what is false and true? False and true is going to give us what? False. Now, the word and, for us to have a truth value of true, the two statements must be true. Otherwise, it's going to be false. So, and is very strict. So, the two must be true for us to have the truth value of true. So, in this case, now what we have in the bracket here is what? Is false. So, true implies false. That is going to be what? That's false. That's false. So, the answer here is false. So, that's the answer to that problem. Okay, the next one, we have A or negation of A by conditional B. Now let's plug in the values, the truth value of A, that's F, or negation of F by conditional. Okay, now A is F, okay, so and B is what? True. Okay. All right, so now this is going to give us false, or now negation of false is what? True. We have true by conditional true. Now, true by conditional true is going to give us true. Don't forget, under by conditional, once we have the same truth value, we have a truth value of true. That is false by conditional false, that is true. True by conditional true, like what we have here, is going to give you true. But once we have opposite truth value, that's going to be false. So here now we have false or true. Now, what is the answer to that? False or true? That's going to give us true. Now, the word or, once at least one of the statement is true, then the result is true. So in this case now, the answer is true. Okay, so that is the answer to the problem. All right. Okay, so we are going to be ending the class here today. So don't forget, if you are new in this channel and you love what we are doing here, so ensure you subscribe to this channel and don't forget to tap the like buttons. And also, I want to encourage you, so always go through my previous videos. There are a lot of things you can always learn from those videos. And once you check the videos, ensure that you like, you subscribe, and you also share with your friends, share with platforms. Let us have a good number of learners on our channel. Thank you for doing that. Okay, and also I want to encourage you again, ensure you practice well. So the more you practice, the better you become. So thank you very much for waiting and attending the class. So I wish you a good night rest. Thank you very much. I love you guys. Bye-bye.